happened? What? Oh,
We're
oh,
live.
oh! I thought it had an intro or something. Like I thought it was.
Normally, I was supposed to put the intro, but I
The
guess
the very Mark Henry.
it was supposed to be like. That's what normally happens. Yeah, because normally I would start, but screw we're late anyway. With that said, welcome to episode 142 or 141 of the BrawlCast. I'm your host, moderator, the People's Champion, joined by my brother here, the Golden Child, here this week. And of course, we're joined by the fantasy booking extraordinaire Kid Ty, aka Saw Force, and we are live here on the Sports HitList by the way of StreamYard. Fellas, it has been quite the week in wrestling and week in general in terms of all types of sports and stuff like that. But before we normally get into the cruxes of the show, got to do a vibe check in the room for a little bit, seeing temperature, seeing how we've been since the last
How
week.
you doing?
So for me,
How you doing?
how am I doing?
Yeah. No, I beat you to it. How you doing?
I hate Andrew Nimhard. I don't like him. I hate him. That's all I gotta say. You know, last night sucked. But other than that, it's been a decent week. You know, just getting over a terrible chest cold, but you know, it is what it is. But we're still up 2-1 against them Hicks, so you know, I'm all right with that.
You know what's worse than losing?
What?
Working while losing. Yeah. Putting it in the thing and then
you were there.
changing it from Knicks leads 2-0 to 2-1. Yeah. That was bound to happen because he didn't score at all. I was like, he's going to make the biggest shot of the game because he had 0 points going into the fourth quarter. I was like, he's going to make the shot. So it is what it is. This is not a basketball pod.
I ain't gonna front. I was also hoping, at least, the very least, for a foul at the end, but never mind that. But outside of that, how about you, Ty? How you feeling?
Well, I don't even. Can you hear me?
Yeah, perfectly fine.
Okay, my thing didn't light up, so I didn't know. Not a fun week. I had a fun Thursday night. Went out with some friends, brought some family with me. We were able to send off a former coworker of mine back home to Arizona. She's doing well. What you call it? It was a roller coaster of emotions on Thursday. I got the hell out of there on Friday when the clock struck 3, legally. And what you call it? I woke up on my own time today. Unfortunately, it was at like 7 a.m, but we're good. Enjoy the whole Saturday. So yeah, not my favorite week, but at least the build into the weekend was decent enough that I can smile a bit today.
Not bad. And by the way, Ivan, listen, man. Just because your Lakers are home, don't mean I can't enjoy my Knicks.
To be, he is right though. He is right. He is right. He is right. You know what I'm saying? In terms of vibe, but I will say this much: if that is a part of your vibe check, right, then fair enough. But in the same regard, we need to know what we about. You know, Sports Hit List. We have other shows for that. We can't step on the other shows' bounds. Now they have basketball shows. We can't step on their bounds.
I was gonna say we're not the only ones that gave up a 2-0 lead.
Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Regardless
of the the fifth flap and all that extra stuff.
I didn't even get back to my week, man.
How about you?
No,
it's
okay. No, it's all good, man.
It was getting to you.
No, man. No. I know you were going right to there. Now you were going right towards the next segment over there.
Right to you.
Listen, week was the week.
Week was weakened.
We were all kind of going through a tough like the chest cold. You said you had a chest cold. Yeah. I mean, we all got it. It was weird. Last week, you know, I had some mutual counterparts who had the illness, recovering. And then lo and behold, a week later, it was our turn. It was unfortunate, but you know, recovering from it. Otherwise, also just came from the gym, also recovering from another thing. I did have a good old good case of you're getting old. And what I mean by that is got Achilles tendonitis. That's been ongoing for about a couple months, but I thought it was going away. Apparently came back. So monitoring it right now, feels a little better. No pain. So that's good. Just went to the gym, you know what I'm saying? Did leg day for the first time in a hot minute. So I felt good. You know what I mean? I felt good. I felt confident. And I feel confident getting into what we're going to talk about today. So that's a segue into what we're going to talk about today because we're here for the Brawl Talk. What we talking about?
All right, so as let's start back with last night. Obviously, Cody Rhodes kicked off SmackDown yesterday with General Manager Nick Aldis, and of course, we're getting a match between these two guys at King and Queen of the Ring, champion versus champion match. What's your initial thoughts on that, boys?
I mean, it's to keep the title on Cody. It's smart booking because you don't want to necessarily put him in a position where he's facing someone who like a Seth. You don't want a Seth Rollins book him where you put him up against competition where they should get the title. They could get the title, but it's not their time to do so. You don't want to Nakamura them. You don't want to. I mean, AJ Styles.
You just had to say it, didn't you?
I know.
You just had to. You just had to make it. Come on, man.
But AJ was a one casualty in that, but beside that, you don't want to put people in a situation to where it's like you don't want to Finn Balor situation. You don't want to Nakamura the situation to where it's like every person that you see this guy facing, it's like we could see and envision a title reign for this person. Maybe not this particular month, but down the line in the year, we could see it for him. And that starts to be the beginning of the end for that person. Looking back, Nakamura is back on SmackDown. Finn Balor arguably is probably the second to least, if not the least, relevant in the Judgment Day right now. If you want to go into semantics about it, that's a story for another day. But in terms of what he was at that point in time, it was like he could get it done. Fast forward to now with Cody Rhodes, he's in a situation with Logan Paul. There's a big star. Love him or hate him, and it'll make for a big match. This is Logan Paul's second Saudi match where he's in a big championship title match. So I do think it's smart, but in the long run, you do run the risk of getting Cody in the scenario where he's doing all these side quests and there's not another thing set up for him. And for the hardcore extremist wrestling fans, it's cool. But for like the commercial fans, it's like looking for that story to sink into. You're gonna get that. Is this working conversation going? If not, it happened already. It might be louder going forward. So I do think it's good in certain cases, but in other cases, you don't want to run the well too long with this.
I mean, listen, man, there's another opportunity for Logan Paul to, showcase his talents. And we all know he's taken to wrestling very, very well since coming on the WWE and the matches he's been involved in, the people he's been in the ring with. It's almost like if he wasn't known for his social media stuff beforehand, you would have thought, man, this guy's perfect for professional wrestling. Like he was born to be the invent. If Redacted was still running the company, he would have he would have been the prototypical star that that he would push. And for what I've seen so far, he's been taking wrestling to water and going against Roman, going against Seth, going against Kevin Owens and all these Ricochet, and coming either victorious or looking great in defeat, and facing the newly, well, he's no longer new, he's been over a month now, but facing Cody Rhodes for the WWE Championship. It should be very interesting to see what takes place, man. So
say Vincent Kennedy McMahon without using Redacted.
Vince McMahon.
Don't be a bitch.
Vince McMahon.
Kennedy McMahon. You could do it.
He has a Kane in it. No, Vincent Kennedy McMahon.
All right, it's my turn then. Let's go. I appreciate the petty, but goddamn. All right. Smart business move. That's my general opinion on it. To your point, I agree with what Jay said. I agree with what Randy said. I'm not surprised because the whole message since the road to WrestleMania has been this is the hottest WWE has been. You're going to keep the momentum by continuing to stay kind of to the casual audience in the immediate. Logan Paul has a huge reach. He has a history at Saudi Arabia having certain matches. They're going to want to get the biggest draw they can for that. And they're going to continue to do that. And it's Triple H building a foundation so that the company has more credibility to stand on going forward. We don't have as many stop-start feuds so far since Triple H has taken over. So these are foundational years for him. And he's going to be building stuff that we'll be able to do callbacks to 2 or 3 years later. So there's a lot of loading and pending right now. So in the immediate, Cody doing what he's doing. Interesting. Cody teasing on Twitter. 2 belts? Also interesting. Just general interesting questions of what this could be. And knowing how athletic the 2 guys are. How Cody can be old school but modern at the same time. Logan is all over the place. But he's usually in a performative state of I'm down to do whatever. And I can do whatever because I'm just built like that. It's going to be an interesting match. It's definitely going to keep people's interest in the ring and going forward because Logan is one of your top stars. And imagine Cody Rhodes hanging around with 2 belts, especially a U.S. title belt for an American Nightmare. I mean, there's a lot just written here. There's a lot of money here. I get it. So let's see what happens.
Money.
A lot of money right here, Daddy.
Money.
That and Logan's not in the King of the Ring, so logically it makes sense that he would have an opening here too. Like you could easily put a King of the Ring competitor in this match, but at that point it'd be like we don't know if the King of the Ring is going to have a prize outside of the crown. So you know,
I guess a very quick, hopefully a quick but side question is. Did they miss the boat on him not being a part of the King of the Ring? Because, like, I feel like, okay, all right. And do you have like a reason?
I think they got Logan right, right where they want him. I don't think he needs a King of the Ring, the King of the Ring to kind of solidify what they expect of him. Now, with him being in a tournament and possibly winning it help him, it will make him look much more, obnoxious than he already is. Sure, but like. At least where he's at right now, he's going against the world champion right now, Cody Rhodes. So it's like.
So here's my argument. Here's my argument, right? You put him in a tournament that is pretty much with all the prestige and them building it to be a workhorse trophy, essentially, right? A banner for someone who is a ring general. Right? Everyone's kind of aiming it for, I'm pretty sure we're going to talk about it later, Gunther being the favorite, whatever, right? Point is that, Ilya, the point is that for them to have all of these workhorse wrestlers in this tournament, to have all these favorites, and then to have a Logan Paul in there, it does add heat to it. So I'm very like I'm not trying to necessarily dispute what WWE is doing with him having the WWE title match, but I think coming out of that, I think that there could have invited more feuds for Logan as opposed to just having him do the one-off title match with Cody, because provided this is just a one-off, I do think that it's a slight disservice.
Okay.
Because it's like after this, they're going to have to create a new feud. It's going to be another segment where he's going to go out in the ring. He's going to say something obnoxious and somebody's going to have to come out to say that, oh, he talks too much, and that's just gonna reignite that's gonna ignite the feud, as opposed to having something naturally be created out of the King of the Ring, where he's essentially saying to the company, I did in 2 years what somebody in their entire career has not have been able to do, and I won a title, and I'll be able to become the king of the entire ring, right? And then there could be this workhorse guy that says, like, no, you're not the king of the ring. Like, you're an internet superstar who just so happened to be okay at wrestling. Like, this is not you. So I think that I feel like offers more credence in the long run. But again, I
got it.
to that original point of this is a good business move.
Okay.
So
I have an angel's advocate to your devil's advocate here. So
right.
Shoot time.
I'd say that what Jay said is sound, it's valid, and it is a more natural progression of his individual stories for sure. I don't think it's the only route you can go down, because to play off of a tidbit that Jay does pretty often when they could have gotten it, but it also could be more prestigious because they didn't. I think that a guy like Logan Paul not being in the King of the Ring, shooting his shot to go after the championship right away after a Mania win is also valid, because you also have the fallout from the pay-per-view. Because let's go with the more likely scenario that Logan doesn't win the whatever this title is called now, because it has 7 different names and none of them make sense. Let's say he doesn't win Cody's belt, right?
Yeah.
And he wasn't in the King of the Ring tournament. That's fire right there to be pissed. Because you're going to lose in Saudi Arabia again. You're going to lose in the biggest marquee match since WrestleMania again. Because no offense to AJ Styles, but if you take away that France reaction, that doesn't feel as big as it does. This feels more like a big money match. And that's hard for me to say as a wrestling fan. But if we're being honest, in terms of making money, this will make more money than Cody and AJ Styles. I feel like throwing up. But the point is, you lose the biggest match since Mania, and you weren't even offered to be in King of the Ring, as far as I understand. So you're going to sit there and be like, really? This is how you're going to treat me? This is how you're going to treat one of your biggest stars? Really? Like, he's going to be in his ungrateful period. And if anything, that could lead to him feuding with the direct King of the Ring. Because let's say, the what do you call it? Let's say it's not Gunther. Everybody's been talking about this for months now. Imagine it's LA Knight. You have a scenario where if a babyface wins King of the Ring, Logan's like, you know what? Your crown doesn't mean nothing. You don't mean nothing. You know what? There's a reason why they didn't put me in there, because they knew I would have won automatically. And the fact that I'm not in makes your whole shiznit invalid. And that would be a natural progression of a feud for Logan as well, where it's like, who do you think you are to do X, Y, and Z? And in the case that it's an LA Knight or a babyface, Logan will sit here and say, my title means way more than yours, because the King of the Ring is a title belt, but it is a title, an honor you win in the company. My title is better than yours, which would also be a natural progression of being able to get the belt off of Logan. And maybe that's his story for the year, him being humbled after 2 years of being pampered.
Yeah.
Per se. So I would say that's another angle you could do with that.
All right.
Not bad.
Let's keep it rolling.
Next question. Next topic over here.
Oh, God.
This is gonna be a you thing. Only you want to talk about this. No. Let's keep it on wax. Only you want to talk about this.
Talk about Shug Solo.
Why can't I talk about Shug Solo?
No, I mean, like,
go ahead. Talk.
It's just one of those funny things where it's like, let's say it's not a collaborative script that week. Like, let's say let's say it's one of us writing it, and Randy's like, but Bloodline, and you say, all right.
Like, this was covered.
Like, I admire the dedication. It's just almost comical at this point. Like, not in a insulting way. It's just more like a god damn it. All right, fine.
So
Go ahead.
so let me ask the question to you.
Yes.
All right.
All right.
So on the show,
Yes.
right, Solo Sikoa had the interaction with Paul Heyman and basically said you did not contact the Roman Reigns and have not been able to contact him since WrestleMania. I have, and he told me that until he returns, I am
The wise
the
man.
the tribal chief, and you are my wise man. So to that, do you think that he's telling the truth? And if so,
No.
okay.
I don't think
All
so.
right.
Telling the
So
truth.
what is your perception of that? How you
I
break it down for me?
I don't know. It feels like one of them old school movies where it's like, when the big heavy is taken down, and then the second in command or the most unsuspected person decides to take over little by little. And that's kind of what Solo's doing. Little by little, Roman's been gone, seeing everybody disrespecting the bloodline. It's like, wait a minute. Little by little, you see Tama Tonga come on, and then you see now Tonga Loa here. It's almost like building pieces in terms of the respect that they're trying to regain in the locker room in the name of the bloodline. But I do think this next chapter, at least for them, is more so for Solo's story more than so than Roman's, because it's like he's the most unsuspected one. He's gone through many losses outside of the one at Backlash. This is his chance to kind of prove himself away from the big shadow that Roman casts, and have his own crew and build himself up. And by using that, this is his way to do it.
All right. Good talk. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, listen. In all seriousness, we spoke about it. We spoke about it ad nauseum. Like I want to say when the loss happened and when the initial turn on Jimmy went down. Well, I guess I'll just put it in the middle. Just I'll heal off you. I'll stop being a heel. I'll stop being a heel for now. But no, I think the thing is like with Solo, we spoke about it. It's one of those scenarios where now this is his time to level up. They're kind of trying to put him in a position him to where he's taking it over. Now we surmised before it might not be Roman who is talking to Solo. It could be The Rock, which leads to The Rock coming back after Roman comes back and says, I didn't tell you to do all these moves. And then Rock comes in and says, well, I did because I'm actually the tribal chief. And then you have that whole thing. Ultimately, is just a stark progression of that. I will say, since I don't think we were around since Backlash, or at least I wasn't. I mean, hey, listen, tip your cap for the big reveal. Now you got the squad together. You got the duo. You got the gorillas. So respect to you. I know a lot of people online have gotten like a lot of flag going back and forth because this is the same type of dynamic that AEW gets criticized for, bringing in people that people don't know, and then they just say these are people that you should know, and it's like ultimately, yes, that is a valid reason to kind of like have dialogue, but and as it pertains to the story at hand, this is just adding more fuel to the fire. And I guarantee by the time that Roman comes back and Rock comes back and this whole story gets played out, I feel like we're going to be in for a treat. This right now is just to give Solo that leg up that he desperately needs, because there's a guy that, if you saw him in NXT, had potential of doing the things that he's just starting to reacclimate himself now onto the main roster. So that's all.
All right. First of all, shout out to Vaughn who's commenting
up?
from the Sports HitList page. Because he was like, Bloodline Wolfpack, salute to everyone except Aubrey Graham. Jesus Christ. Salute to The Undertaker for leaking WrestleMania in Vegas.
Well, as luck would have it, it seems as well that and we apparently have one. Oh wait, what? There's gonna be a Bloodline Civil War. There's so many scenarios that this can take place. Ha. Well, yes. There was a lot of flack, I remember, right? On what Mean Gene, I saw Mean Gene post it, right? On the Brawl page on Facebook. It was essentially people were worried about Jacob Fatu outshining Solo.
Yes.
Kind of knew it was gonna happen.
Yeah, I mean, but I mean, to that, yeah, I don't think that's necessarily too much news.
Can we like?
That's
I do want to bring up something with that.
All right,
yeah,
That's even if that's the case. All right, look, we've had multiple scenarios of stars pushing each other to be greater. I mean, Triple H and The Rock comes to mind, but
Yeah.
even beyond that, like people also said 10 years ago, why is CM Punk teaming up with Paul Heyman? He doesn't need a manager. It's like, yeah, he doesn't. That's not the point of this duo. If you have Solo being at the forefront and Jacob Fatu manages to be a breakout, that's a double success. And if you integrate it properly, you get something worthwhile. I mean, Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho were a duo, and Jericho was the favorite of the two by most of the fans, but that didn't mean Kevin was doing bad work. If anything, you have to spin the narrative to compensate for the fact that one star is getting a little bit more over than the other. And if that talent is capable enough to meet that level that the other star is on, then you have two stars. So what are we talking about?
exactly. We have that right now on Raw. Love them both. Damian Priest and Finn Balor. Anyone?
I think I think fans, it's funny because these comments are fan comments that you would make not being a mark, so to speak, or not being crazy. You just be like, oh, I heard some stuff. I don't know. And it's like, and this is the part where we say, let it cook.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
Yeah, like, yo, man, we in SVR06, my GM mode. All right.
Oh, no.
Solo got his 56 popularity. He became the tribal chief. He upgraded it to 60. Jacob Fatu, he gonna debut at 66. But 66 and 60, that's not too far different. Just
that's a doable gap.
Exactly, man.
Wait, time a doable gap. Wait, hold up.
No. Listen. We're gonna keep it. We're gonna keep that rolling. We don't need a.
No, you're right. Yeah, you're right. No, yeah, like a stone. Yeah.
But ultimately, listen. I've seen situations where I've been in my GM with a 70 popularity. Then he go on a losing streak. I look up. I'm like, yo, you at 36? What the hell happened? That's what.
Damn, how many times did he lose?
Listen.
They needed
what? To job out somebody. They needed to job out.
That is 34 points. What happened?
Listen, they wanted their contract renewed and they got injured at the same time.
They have to stay on velocity forever. There's no way.
That's SVR07. That's not.
You're right. That's how bad it is. I gotta port your trash momentum to the next game to fix it.
Yeah. Oh, hold on. Yo, Vaughn said the fact. Speaking of ratings, WrestleMania 10, Shawn Michaels needs to be higher than some stinking 85. But anyway,
they need to make an overall system that makes sense for them and that they will actually uphold before we can talk about fixing overalls. Me and Jay will do that at a later time because we've been doing this literally for like 6 years now.
More so than a decade.
Yeah, man.
It's been a decade. All right, but let's keep the ball moving. I just wanted to just say, get well soon to Kenny Omega, who is scheduled to have another surgery. Remember, he had diverticulitis recently, and recently just came back to AEW, but is not fully 100%. So he's going to another round of surgery. Any quick thoughts in terms of Kenny?
I have a thought that most probably won't have.
What's going on?
Can we be nice to this man when he comes back, please? When I say that, I mean, look, most people favorably love Kenny Omega. I'm not the biggest Kenny Omega fan myself, but if there's one thing that does bother me about how fans treat this man, because we are so excited as a collective group to see this man in the hardest hitting matches in wrestling, people forget the toll that stuff takes on a guy. And considering he has spent a good chunk of the past 2 years on the shelf, can we let this man actually relax, please? Please, like at this point in his career, we want the best matches. We expect the best matches. I get it. As fans, that's what we're going to do. This man, there was a point where this man was wrestling in a thermal looking shirt because he came back early because he wanted to. It's like, as a collective, can we let Kenny know it's okay again to take his time and come back? And when he is here, can we let him know that he can work his way back to that point so that he doesn't have to take another trip back home to rest from another problem that happened? You know what I mean? Like, can we be nice to this man?
I do, but
I just want him to rest his body and
I
just enjoy life.
I can't believe it. I'm dare I say that, you know what? There's gonna be somebody who's gonna be like, oh my God, he's holding him accountable. But that is up to Tony Khan. I said this a long time ago with a guy who is also a high risk taker, legendary risk taker, in fact, Jeff Hardy. I don't want this man in so much ladder matches. And I don't, at a certain point, that is part wrestler, is part promoter, is not necessarily a fan. Because I think when, even as far back as I could think, before the incident with Hardy, I remember fans already clamoring on social media. And again, that was like getting in around the time where we in the eyes of the IWC was getting a rhythm to just say like, yo, dude, you don't need to do all this crazy stuff. You don't need to start jumping off of stuff, because he started doing stuff and he started landing on I remember there was a time in TNA, I think it was, where he did a swanton, landed on some steel steps or something. Like I don't.
Yeah, he fell off a cage door and landed on the steps.
Yeah, that what. However, it happened. Basically, he was just like, "Yo, dude, stop." And he went to WWE and he continued to do it. He went to AEW. He's still doing it. It's like, yo, my man, chill. At the end of the day, yes, fans, please reach, like, show the support and in terms of giving this man some grace. But just, I would hope that the promoters and most importantly, the producers of the matches, yo, let them know, chill. If there needs to, hell, if there needs to have another CM Punk incident, I don't care. Let it be. Let it be, man. Let it be. You don't need to be doing something crazy. Just like you in your 40s right now, like Kenny Omega wrestles like he is 25.
He's got the youthful spirit.
Exactly. But it's like at a certain point, you've been wrestling for so much years. Your career spans many different generations of wrestlers. He was around the same time frame as OVW boys. He was just thought he's in the Miz area. He's in the Miz bracket.
So he's 81 too?
He's 83, if I'm not mistaken. 82, 83.
So him and Daniel Bryan the same age.
Brian's a little older. But ultimately speaking, you doing all those things. And you know what? Brian is actually a perfect point, because granted, he's in a lot of these grimy matches where he's bloody and all that stuff. You do not tend to see. He does get hurt, but you're not gonna be out here being like, "All right, Brian, we're gonna toss you in a ladder match real quick." Like,
right. There are different approaches that can work to produce similar things.
Find your approach, make it work for you, and make it so that it can last. Right? There's a reason why. Granted, some of it was a little grimy. But over time, like the stuff that Mick Foley was doing in WWE, while it looked crazy to us, it paled in comparison to what he was doing in ECW. And it paled in comparison to what he was doing in New Japan. So at a certain point, you can't emulate the same thing and expect the different result. And even in that example, it did Mick Foley in because of the Hell in a Cell incident. But again, that being said, you have to find a way to work around a lot of those situations. So do get better, Kenny. But also, when you do return, everybody needs to show grace, including Kenny himself.
All right. So, and it's time for the main event, as we get the chance to talk about, bam, the king and queen of the ring tournament. as you see all these names, well, at least from the men's bracket, that we've seen all these great matches that we have happen on Raw, Dragunov, Gunther, Jey Uso, move on Raw. Last night we saw Carmelo Hayes and Eric's favorite wrestler Baron Corbin in action last night. Randy Orton and AJ Styles killed it in the main event last night on SmackDown for the men's bracket. Well, this is another good look at it in terms of what you see here. We had Gunther and Sheamus. We had Ray and Kofi. We had arguably the best match of the night. And then, of course, all these here. And, of course, Drew McIntyre did not participate Monday because of his injury. But, fellas, as we've seen from Monday and last night, what has been the highlight or your best matches thus far from this tournament? Or opening round.
Come again?
Best matches from the tournament so far.
Yeah.
I am admittedly still catching up, but I did watch Ricochet and Ilya live. It's obviously one of the biggest talking points since we started. One of the biggest talking points of the week. I do want to say something about the bracketology, if you could just put it back up there real quick.
Yes, sir.
Alrighty. Yeah. All right. So also I did see Gunther and Sheamus. That was also lovely. I have a murder boner clearly when it comes to wrestling. More reason why a murder boner. Like you enjoy the physicality and the brutality of the fights. That's what that means. Don't be weird. All right. Don't be weird. Put the brim down on your hat in shame, you sick bastard. You. What you call it? The bracket though, if you could put that back up. A lot of people were talking about, like Raw had the better 1v1 matchups, and that SmackDown's was looking kind of rough. And look, man. I'm tired of this. Okay. Admittedly, we shouldn't even be giving these comments any sort of noise. Both brackets are nice. Okay, there are going to be some awkward matchups. It happens. And obviously, there are going to be people who show out more. That happens. But overall, there's a steady consistency here that I've liked in terms of how they pick these matches. And from what I've seen, from what I saw of Corbin and Hayes, Corbin is out here with a moveset and a style that reminds me of when John Cena heard he couldn't wrestle in 2015 and decided to just pull out moves that we ain't even think he was going to do. And it's funny because we've been watching him do this on NXT for a while. So for the people who haven't been watching NXT, their first impression of Corbin was word, when, how, what? And that's a beautiful thing, especially considering he's a defending King of the Ring. He is one of the defending King of the Rings because he was the one before Woods. A lot of people forgot about King Corbin. So that's cool. What you call it? Randy Orton and AJ Styles. I actually did get to watch that. I'm lying. There's a lot I've seen. AJ and Randy Orton talking about that pacing. Let me tell you something about that pacing right there. That's me. That's where I live right there. That pacing. That's what we're talking about when we talk about letting things marinate. You want things to sizzle. You want them to cook. Y'all don't know about cooking. Y'all don't know nothing about cooking. Y'all think cooking is all the sparks flying in the boiling water hitting you. Y'all think the cooking is when the pan pop and sizzle on you. No, it's when it sizzle back on the food you're cooking right there. That's what cooking is right there. And that's what that was. Don't look at me. I said put your brim down. Don't talk to me like that. Put your brim down, man. What I'm saying is there is a quality of many varieties being put on the bracket. Okay? You're going to get your hard-hitting, very impulsive, very athletic, acrobatic action, and you're going to get some steady burning, steady building matches on here. And I like what I've seen so far. I feel bad for Alan. I feel bad for Uncle Alan. I kind of wanted to see him go far. I really did. But I understand. And that's another part, as Jay mentioned earlier. Some of these stories are going to spiral out of losses. You know, some of these stories are going to spiral out of how these people won. So the statistics don't tell the whole story. The context does. And that's what I'm liking so far. Also, Kofi and Ray on TV is criminal. I haven't seen that in nearly 16 years. And LA Knight and Escobar's match being put to a live event because they didn't have enough time. Phooey.
Yeah, that was
Phooey.
that was messed up. That was messed
I
up.
hope that was a semi-calculated last-minute decision, and they use that and they ricochet that back towards the fans as like, we understand why y'all are angry. We sorry. And LA Knight gets louder reactions. I really do. I hope that works in LA Knight's favor.
Also makes that live event that much, important to go to if you're gonna get a match like that.
Yes,
Well,
but not that short of time span too. Like, because some people just attend, like, some people just watch the show. You know what I mean? So it's like,
if they're smart, they will, because WWE records everything. They will post that match on the YouTube or some sort of platform for people to watch it. If they're smart. And if it is the only match, this could be a telling tape of how popular LA Knight is. Because if that match were to do good numbers on platforms, that would only help LA Knight's case of, you got to give me something at some point now. So I think that's something they should do. Because they got all them damn cameras. There's no reason to have a production team at a live event if they're not going to get some good camera work for videos and stuff. So I know they can record it. There's no excuse there, in my opinion. Y'all got WWE Speed. Y'all can record that. You can record this.
That's true.
Speaking of WWE Speed, I see you, Ricochet. Keep doing that. I don't know what it is yet, but keep doing it. And also put that belt on damn television. Don't talk about it. Put it on television.
Also wanted to talk about conversely. What about the women? What impressed you about the women in the matches so far of the Queen of the Ring bracket?
What impressed me
so far?
First of all, something I mentioned a long time ago. They're finally calling it Queen of the damn Ring. Queen's crown, my ass. And two, the matches were all right. Natalia's match was the best one that I had seen so far. And she deserves that. And I hope that if this tournament continues going on, whether it's annually or semi-annually, I would like to see her win that for once. Because Lord knows that thing is made for someone like her. Gimmick-wise and accomplish-wise. It's in her blood. There are 2 Heart members that have already won that damn thing. She should be the third. Third time's the charm. But I'm curious about this one. This one's a little bit harder for me to really have a solid winner on compared to the men's one. Because I know the favorite was Nia for the longest when they announced this. And I'm not gonna sit here and say either of them are bad options, but I kind of want a dark horse winner for this one. I genuinely do. So I'm kind of leaning towards that direction more than anything.
Yeah.
That's true.
I see you circle and debate. I see what you're saying. I see what you're them caps though. Jesus Christ. I could see the anger in that. Look at how angry that F looks when it's capitalized. No wonder it's a swear. Jesus Christ.
Nah. Okay.
No, but yeah, that's all I got.
That's true. I mean, from what I saw last night, as the Golden Child leaves for a little bit, from what I saw last night, I like what I saw between Nia and Naomi. I was interested. I was happy to see what happened between what Jay did last night against Chelsea Green, and then of course Bianca right after that little thing that they did. I was just happy the fact that, like Ivan said, from Circle of Debate, the fact that we're getting these quality matches, and they're really, really good. So I think this has been a good thing for them so far. I hope they can continue this momentum into the pay-per-view. For the most part.
It's funny you mentioned that because I was watching the live stream. If you guys didn't know, they had a live stream earlier. I don't know if it's still up now, but they're live streaming old King of the Ring matches from multiple different eras. I got lucky with the ones that I saw because I got to watch Kurt and Randy Orton from 2006. That was the one for Booker T. I got to see Bret Hart and Kurt Hennig. Classic. Love that match. Got to see Rob Van Dam and Eddie Guerrero from the 02 one, where Rob went on to face Brock Lesnar in the finals. And I got to watch King Barrett and Adrian Neville in the finals when Barrett won his King of the Ring. So, yes, the match quality should matter. That's a historical part of King of the Ring, the journey to get there. I agree with you. More professional wrestling on the thing. Only question is, will it appease you? Depends on your style, what you like of professional wrestling. Like I said, there's a variety of different match types and possibilities on the board here. So you will get something you like. That's the only good thing.
And I think that's the direction WWE is trying to get into. They're trying to make sure you get a little bit of everything. You get a little bit of your storylines, you get a little bit of your wrestling, you get a little bit of everything, in terms of what we're seeing. But from what I've seen so far, and it's only the first round, so as like based off these matches, from what I saw, or what's been advertised, especially after round one, they have a really good set of matches that they can they've done well. Like last night. Tama, we all know he's going towards Randy, and like from what I've seen so far, these matches have been really, really good on both shows. I just hated the fact that Drew didn't get an opportunity to have an opportunity to wrestle against Finn, because I really wanted to see that.
It's okay because we still have a year left, and as a guy who's wanted King of the Ring back for a while, I'm very happy we're getting some sort of structure back. The common sense era is what I'm calling this, and I'm enjoying it. But one more thing I want to highlight before we switch gears. I'm very happy that WWE is taking advantage of the things they already have that other companies have been manipulating for the longest time. When you thought of a wrestling tournament in the past 10 or so years, what was the first tournament that came to your mind?
King of the Ring?
Oh, no, you said past 10 years?
Yes.
Good question. It should be, outside of King of the Ring.
The correct answer is the G1.
Oh, of course. Yeah, the G1. Yeah.
The correct answer is the G1. That is one of the things that people would look forward to the most throughout the year. If you were if you're more of a dedicated wrestling fan to pro wrestling, most people would look forward to the G1. Thank you, Circle of Debate. Thank you. Thank you. And and here's the funny part. There's nothing wrong with that. You can have your preference in tournament, but in order to have a proper preference in tournament, you need to know your options. The King of the Ring was not even a consideration for the longest time. It was not even a consideration, the King of the Ring. You know why? Because it got bastardized so much to the point where we didn't even look at it as a real tournament. We looked at it as, well, this is the current storyline for a while. And it's not a really good one. This is something WWE had in the back. Like first of all, you have the best name for a tournament, the simplest and best name for a tournament. You have a good history with this tournament, multiple main eventers, faces of the company, and big names attached to it, and you don't want to use it. I personally think the King of the Ring started to die a death around the time that Booker won it, not because of anything Booker did, but more so by that point, it really solidified that this is a crown, a gimmick, and it's not going to lead to anything else. Right?
This one has to go to it.
There were plans for Regal in 08. Unfortunately, they didn't come to fruition because of Regal's personal problems at that time. But after Booker, it just never picked up. You had Regal, you had Booker, you had Sheamus. Do people remember Sheamus with his antenna little crown? Right?
You mean the Loki crown?
Yeah. Then you switch to 2015, you have Wade Barrett, and all it did was change his name, which was hilarious because he already had his name changed. He wasn't even Wade Barrett at that point. He was Bad News. So he went from Bad News to King Barrett, and then King Barrett to we won't see you for another decade, Barrett. And then after that, Baron Corbin, And don't get me wrong, I'm happy Xavier Woods got to win it because that was a personal goal of his. But the most that crown did was get stomped out by Roman. It gave him a solo theme that he hasn't used since, and then it got stomped out by Corbin. So, yes, kudos to WWE for making us care about this and treat it like an actual tournament again. Because now people are going to, if it continues at this rate, you think this is going to stop as being just, we're bringing it back for 1 year and we'll bring it back a few years? And no, it's going to have a demand for it now. So, good on them for that.
Before we touch on the comment that Ivan posted just now, I do want to shout out, Natalia was great, but also shout out to Dakota and Ira finally getting to see the potential of what Dakota can do in the ring. About time we saw what she can do. Yeah.
Oh, I know. Seth's mad. I know Seth is mad because he didn't think of that stomp variation.
Yeah.
That was beautiful.
I just wanted to put that out there to not be remiss. We keep in track. Don't worry. But in regards to what was mentioned, hoping that it gets back to the title shot at SummerSlam. There's a yes and a no to this, and I feel, at least from my vantage point, and I'd say it goes like this: the Royal Rumble, Money in the Bank, even at a point, the King of the Ring, they all kind of put a set points in time where the person became a number one contender. Quarterly, right? It kind of takes away, from a storyline that is probably progressing at the time in a given year. If you want to do it as a one-off, if you want to do it once if you do want to do it, if it fits for the time frame, sure. But to make it every year, it kind of defeats the purpose. That's the same thing as a Money in the Bank. When you're just like, oh, I guess we gotta have a Money in the Bank guy this year, or Money in the Bank female this year, and then you end up with an Otis, or you end up with a Baron Corbin, right? And then you go to Royal Rumble, you go to the and so on and so forth. So I think that it's a very well-intentioned thought, but I do also feel like it does a disservice to or it doesn't do a disservice, but it's like the booking has to be on its P's and Q's at all times. And realistically, I don't think that is going to be the case, especially when you enter a situation where maybe it's a Cena, Orton, Sasha Banks, and Charlotte back and forth type of feud. And then you got to implant that feud. Maybe it'll help, maybe it won't, but ultimately they're going to have to try to work away creatively so that it can work. And sometimes it takes away from a storyline as opposed to plugging more into it. That's just my thoughts on that.
Devil's advocate to that thought. I agree in the sense that I agree with certain things that you said, but at the same time, without those different elements, you end up in a rabbit hole of being locked into those feuds that start in 2022 and end around 2024 type of things. Where, for example, Shawn Michaels and Triple H in 2002 started their feud, right? It continued basically on and off, if not semi-consistently, until 2004. And it got to a point where, between Triple H's long title run, the fact that Shawn is one of the main contenders and only credible contenders to take this belt off of him, because we saw what happened with Goldberg, we saw what happened with Scott, we saw what happened with Booker, WCW. We saw what happened with WCW. And it just got to a point where it was like, okay, but then the saving grace at that time was Benoit winning the Rumble and giving us a break in action in the Reign of Terror. And another saving grace was later the Batista story, which followed more of the format you're talking about, but still the fact that we were able to get that, because that wasn't originally planned, right? Something happened that allowed Batista to get to that point. So there has to be a balance. And yes, being on your P's and Q's all the time can't happen all the time. Injuries happen. That's another thing people don't realize. Injuries, different people get hot at different times and might throw things off. Somebody might be hot in February, cool by March, and then another person gets hot in April. It happens.
Yeah.
I
So
think that the solution that I would have to your situation is I wouldn't even put a reward on the King of the Ring at this very moment because
no, but
of the Rumble and the Money in the Bank.
no, but that's exactly what I'm vocalizing is the fact that if you put something on it, that's what would end up happening, right? If you leave it as plain and then every other year maybe there's a situation, hell, maybe it becomes a situation where you're fighting for a title of your choosing, maybe the title is on the line. Haven't thought of
No,
that. Like maybe it's a situation where like somebody gets injured sometime after Mania.
no, I got you. You know what?
A situation where Becky Lynch didn't win the title in the Battle Royal. That basically was a week promoted, right? Instead of doing that, what if they were like, you know what? We're gonna save it for Queen of the Ring. Whoever wins the tournament wins the title. And then if they're from SmackDown, just ship them over to Raw.
I got something for you.
Yeah.
Championship opportunity for sure. I think the regular if there's going to be a regular reward for King of the Ring, because that's more of a special situation, right?
Yeah.
If there's going to be a regular reward for King of the Ring, the winner of the King of the Ring gets to select their entry number in the Rumble.
That early.
Yeah.
That
reason
early is-
why The reason why I say that is because the Rumble is the most unpredictable time of the year. The King of the Ring winner will not announce what number, obviously. You win it that early so people forget about it at that time.
Mm.
So by the time we get to the Rumble, King of the Ring winner's not going to mention shit. So when they choose what number they come out, it will be a bigger advantage to them because you'd naturally think, oh, they're going to pick later numbers. And some people will clearly do that. That's the obvious choice, right?
Yeah.
If you end up getting a noble winner, like let's say someone like what Daniel Bryan wanted to do with Money in the Bank. He was like, I'm going to tell the person I'm going to cash in. We're going to have a great fight. Yeah. You could have somebody go, you know what? Bump this. I have a point to prove. I'm going to go at number 1. And I bet you I'll win the whole thing.
See, but that basically inspires me to have them announce it. And the only reason why I would say that is throughout the months, storylines could be lent toward the fact that maybe he
No, you
didn't
can
say-
announce it. I'm saying that
Yeah.
I'm saying in the early days of it, they're probably not going to, because typically the King of the Ring goes to more heelish or selfish characters.
Yeah, that's
So they'd
fair.
probably, that's what I'm saying.
I with that idea, I envision that at some point is going to be a scenario where they're going to be like, all right, I'm going to be picked 27 because everyone wins at 27, right? And then somebody going to be like, no, they're going to get it. And then months go by and months go by and months go by. And then some freaking mammoth debuts and he's going to be the 30th entrant. You're just like, you know what? No. I'm gonna change. I'm gonna change. I want to change my number. Like, you know what I'm saying? Or it's somebody that they didn't mess with in a while. Like, let's say Carmelo Hayes wins a tournament, right? And he's like, you know what? I'm gonna be 29 in the Rumble. And then they're like, we signed Trick Williams. But not only that, he is the 30th entrant in the Royal Rumble.
I got something for you too on that. I know somebody's going to try to pull this. If they were to do it, this would be pretty funny, but also pretty clever. Imagine, right? The person puts a loophole in the contract and they say, you said I could pick what number I come out at the Rumble, right? You never said which number. You're expecting 30 men. Last person goes out. You think they won. And then the king goes, nah, 31, bitch. 31. 31. Jumps in the ring.
Nah,
decks their ass out.
That's too chaotic. You know why that's too chaotic?
Why?
I see you, King of the Ring. I raise you in the Money in the Bank. Cash in 32.
Yeah!
Like, just
Yeah!
You just have chaos. You're
Let's
just like,
go.
I thought I outsmarted them all, and then they're like, you didn't outsmart me. It's just like some anime archetype. It's like
Bro,
the King of the Ring was outsmarted by the money and the bank winner. That I ain't gonna lie.
I like that move.
That's chaotic as hell.
Because I need somebody to do that because I want that controversy. They'd be like, wait, no. Because that would set up the next pay-per-view match, right? Like, let's say we had like a traditional format, like a No Way Out. Be like, wait, you can't do that. It's a 30-man rumble. The contract says I get to pick what number. You never said it had to be 1 to 30. You just said what number. And then you have them fight for the number one contendership at Mania. Could lead to a triple threat. Could lead to one person going over the other. You know, like that's something. And not to mention, come on, King of the Ring, Royal Rumble. Thematically, it makes sense. Okay, I'm just saying. And that way you avoid the whole I have to have a title shot. It's like, no, I have the shot. I got the Road to WrestleMania shot right here.
At that point, it'd be fighting. It'd be pay-per-views fighting each other. It's literally King of the Ring versus Money in the Bank. Who's gonna win to advance to WrestleMania?
Yeah,
and is the battle of the Big Five? It's the battle of the Big Five.
The Big Five right now. If time progresses and King of the Ring continues, it'll be the Big Six. Or in the case of King of the Rings, like I was the 5, and then y'all kicked me out the family, but I'm back now, like Nightwing or some crap. You know, like that's what I want to see. That's kind of what I want to see. And if we ever get a Money in the Bank versus King of the Ring, like now we're being innovative. Now this is some universe GM only we could think of in our head. This is what we do. This is what we fantasy come to life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's it, man. That's it.
We're giving you booking Viagra right now. Stay hard out there, folks. Stay hard. Put your hat back down. I don't want to hear from you. Your facial expressions. All right. I don't want to hear none of that.
Put your eyebrows down. We don't want to see. We don't want to see how high your eyebrows. I don't.
People's champion with your high eyebrows.
I don't like them. I don't like you arching the eyebrows high and low. What's going on? What's going on with you?
I don't want to hear you and Arch in the same sentence.
Only Arch I want to hear of is Archie Manning. That's
wait, what?
That's
you know what I'm saying? Why did we start like this? Don't use me against me. Get out of here. Get out of here.
Next question. Next question.
Oh my God! We pretty much covered the all right. The final question. You know.
All right.
Who do we forecast coming out of the men's bracket?
I hate this question, man.
Who do we forecast coming out of the women's bracket?
I hate this question, man.
Okay, so I'm
answer
gonna
first. You answer first.
Yeah,
no.
Yeah, Randall.
Yeah. People's champ answer first because he has this built in because he knows who he's gonna say. Just say it.
Yeah, which your archers?
Ilya Dragunov for the men's, and I got Nia Jax for women.
All right.
Okay. That's cool. That's a good one. Oh, you want somebody else to go? You
want to explain yourself, brother?
Yeah.
Gunther's
scared of Ilya. That's the only reason why I got him, winning.
All right, that's enough. All right, that's enough.
I thought he had more substance. I thought he had more juice.
I wanted to give you the benefit of the doubt, but you let me down, brother. You talking about some things. Talking about some he don't want none, like he AJ Styles.
No. Get your eyebrows back here. Get your eyebrows back here.
Honestly, I do think that if you're gonna bring back the King and Queen of the Ring, you're probably gonna you need to kind of kick it off with a bang, and someone is gonna take it seriously, someone of prestige, and that's who I think Dragunov might be. Obviously, we all know the other half. The way the bracket's setting up, he might be facing Gunther in the Raw bracket, but it's going to be entertaining, and I think someone of his caliber, it can be prestigious, and to see what he could do with it, with him being on the main roster. That's why I choose it.
LA Knight, Jade Cargill. LA Knight, it seems like they've had him like suspended in 1996 Stone Cold Steve Austin, like for a year now, a year and a half now, because 2022 is one. Yeah. So, I mean, I think that that's probably the thing that they'd go. Like the way they have the bracket position is like every one of the heavy hitters are going to knock each other off one by one. And then at the end, you're going to have a very, very like a heavy hitter versus a very, very popular guy. And that popular guy seems to be an LA Knight. RIP to Jey Uso next week.
Jey Uso is not medically cleared to compete in the King of the Ring.
Yeah. Nah. They're like, you just lost a priest. We'll get you your pop. You know what I'm saying? You know, you one of the hottest act on Raw. Congratulations, you facing Alien Dragunov. But no, I think LA Knight for that reason, and Jade. I mean, I just simply don't think they'd beat her, unless if it's gonna be some shenanigan, thing. Maybe Bianca does something by accident, which I don't know. But ultimately, I think that they would probably set something up to where she wins, Bianca's happy for her, and then they like the SmackDown women's roster or just kind of try to egg on dissension. And while just as us, because what I think has been a constant in Triple H booking is he kind of like has one ear out to what the IWC thinks and one ear out to what Pritchard's and all these people in the world think, and he just kind of like fluctuates between the two. So if he hears Maxine Dupree is getting this thing online, they're going to incorporate it in the storyline. If they hear that dissension is what they want out of Bianca and Jade, they're going to incorporate it in the storyline. So I think that that's how they're going to do that. So I think for that reason, I think it'll both be especially because a lot of flack has been laced against the SmackDown crop. I think both of them, I know it sounds crazy, but I think both of them goes to SmackDown. I think both of it is going to be LA Knight and Jade Cargill. So, yeah.
I agree with Jay on that. The springboard off of that, I think that'll lead to some Money in the Bank winners going to Raw later on to continue Nick Aldis and Scrap Daddy's little storyline right there. But I do agree with LA Knight and Jade, especially if you could put the bracketology back up just real quick so people can get kind of a visual of how this might go down. The big thing with it is pretty simple. If you look at the men's bracket here, for example, I think that it would be similar to the Cruiserweight Classic. If you guys remember the Cruiserweight, I know you do. That purple, you like that purple, or you liked it at first. You know what I'm saying? But when the Cruiserweight Classic happened, the favorites to win were Kota Ibushi and Zack Sabre Jr.
Oh yeah,
right. And they double swerved us because both guys didn't want to sign to the company, and we ended up getting Metallic and TJP, which was a phenomenal match for that time. That being said, I would like to see a tournament swerve again. Because here's the thing. Gunther and Ilya are going to fight each other. But I don't think Ilya is going to topple Gunther this time, especially considering how their last match went. Gunther has changed. His name, his physique, his dominance now is renewed even from his dominance then. I think Gunther will get his win back because he needs that win right now more than Ilya does. And regardless, he's going to kill the booker and take it himself. But Gunther, as we alluded to earlier in the show, is the projected favorite. I want to use that against you guys because LA Knight just got kicked off the damn televised match. He just lost momentum. If Gunther's getting all the favorable treatment and LA Knight is not, and you bring those forces together in the finals and LA Knight manages to beat Gunther, who can be beaten now, a la Sami Zayn, with some luck and a miracle, give that miracle to a night in LA and you're going to have yourself a party in that arena. You know what I'm saying? That crowd, you literally have one of the hottest baby faces and one of the most well-developed heels. You're going to get a unanimous cheer for LA Knight. It's going to be so raucous in that finals, especially considering this is happening in Saudi, right? LA Knight was getting cheered for, and he wasn't even in a match the first time he appeared in Saudi. And then the next time he appeared in Saudi, he was the considerable favorite against Roman, right? By the crowds, by at least by the crowd. Bring it back to Saudi, let him get his win back, finish that 3-year low-key story, have him be king of the ring, and let him pick his Rumble number. And let's see where we go from there. If you get what I'm saying. Yeah. And as for Jade, of course. I mean, of course. I don't think we have the women's bracketology here, but
No.
I presume the finals would end up being Jade and you can't be Jade and Nia because they're on the same show. But regardless of who she faces in the finals, if Jade wins and she's tag team champion, she's gonna look like Owen Hart in '96 with all that gold around her. And not only that, we get the chance to see something that we were talking about for months before with Mania, right? The building of them eventually fighting. The funny part is that Jade will probably end up being the de facto babyface in that scenario. Because I see Bianca turning heel.
Where's Tom in the finals? Oh, yeah.
Because Jade already has enough attitude to go through just being herself. You want Bianca with the most attitude, you need her as a heel. And giving her a reason saying, oh, you don't realize you helping her take your own spot. Let that eat at Bianca for a second. Have her be exactly what she hates. Because she hated Bayley for being that person, right?
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
I wanna I guess address the thing as you put it up there. Orton, Tama, Gunther, Ilya, Gunther, Randy. I respect the opinion. I'll say that I don't think they pin Randy and KO at Backlash and just let them formally wrestle. There's gonna be some shenanigans laced in there. I could be wrong, but to have Orton just rescue KO, have a promo on Raw, lose at Backlash, and then just get right into the King of the Ring tournament like nothing happened, and then for them to refine themselves, and then for Randy to beat Tama to get into the finals without any shenanigans up to that point prior to their match, and then afterwards, it's a lot. Now, granted, I do have Gunther, and similar to Kitai, I have Gunther and LA Knight in the finals. I just don't think that there's a way where Orton sees himself far in this as long, because he seems to me as a person who is supposed to, if we could put the men's graphic real quick up, right? Just real quick. Get back to the men's graphic, right? He seems like a Carmelo Hayes upset waiting to happen. That is the first pick, or one of the first round picks in SmackDown's draft, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
They're building this guy very, very high. So I think that right now, considering the fact of what they're trying to build off of, the fact that the week after they had, I think, 2 segments based on his loss against Cody, they're building him towards him being the guy to be this, the next up, the giant, all these different things. He's built up to be that guy. And to add more fuel to the fire of like, all I needed was this in order to be him. And he could advance to the next round, and he could look at Lashley and be like, hey, I'm still in the tournament and you didn't even get to wrestle. It's a lot more that it benefits him more to advance in the tournament as opposed to an Orton. So I do see that, then that second round matchup happens. I do see Hayes going over, and then that's going to be a LA Knight, Carmelo Hayes semi-final matchup. That's just
where Carmelo Hayes will most likely springboard into a BFT and get caught and lose. Because
and that's also, it's gonna be, it might make for a TNA reunion. You might get a Lashley screw job. You may be like, Lashley be like, I told you, kid, you can't talk smack. You could
Yep.
get a situation where LA Knight beats him clean, and it's an awesome 10-15 minute match, 2-segment, 2-commercial match. Whatever the case may be, I think that's how they go down toward, because you don't put Carmelo Hayes in a position where you make him the only NXT guy called up, because he was already on the roster, but called up, comes out, calls out Cody Rhodes, faces him in the main event, and then the next week he has a big old segment with Lashley. I don't think that they do that without a plan for Carmelo Hayes. I think Hayes is going to basically move forward in this tournament.
All right. So we did our predictions today in terms of the King of the Ring. We kind of forecasted the tournament. We kind of just touched upon the first round of the King of the Ring tournament. Next week, of course, will be the conclusion of round one on the brackets for both the men and the women going into week 2.
RIP to Jay.
Yeah.
It's just you, Oos. It's not you, Oos. It's not your fault. It's not your fault.
It's just you.
It's just you, Oos. But yeah, we decided we basically covered up round 1 of the King of the Ring tournament, and as this continues to go on, we'll definitely monitor and continue. Hopefully our brackets are not busted in terms of who we got slided in in terms of winning, but it's definitely fun in terms of seeing.
I don't care, just make it interesting, man.
But aren't you happy you got your favorite? Like, you could genuinely have your favorites in your bracket. You could this is what I'm saying, man. This is what the fact that we could common sense era. Just
the common sense era.
Yes, but also I wish Finn Balor was booked better.
There are a lot of things I wish Finn Balor were doing better. Him being booked better, him wearing his old clothes, him me not knowing what his calves look like. There's a lot of things I wish were better about Finn Balor
I think he found Jordans and forgot his purpose of wrestling.
He forgot kick pads.
He forgot his purpose in wrestling. He was just like, you know what? I found my Jordans. I'm good. Got my Jordans and my wife. I'm straight. I'm good.
That's pretty much it. He got married. He's like, yo, I'm good.
I just want to wear my Jordans, and I want to wear my mask like I am White Kanye.
Legos. All right.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Lego. I got one more comment.
What are we doing?
Listen, Dre, bro. We talked about it in the chat.
You gotta bring that up, man.
We talked about this enough.
No. Listen, it's valid. All right, look, we all agree they should have seen Finn Balor for the man he was, as opposed to Vince saying the only way you can make money is with that paint. All right, we all agree on that. That being said, I don't got to see that paint ever again. I need him to see his kick pads. That's what I need him to see. His goddamn kick pads and his trunks. Because I've never in my life ever fought with somebody wearing pants, like wanting them to not wear pants. I've never had this happen in my life. Off of that alone, Finn Balor, you are an influence. Because I want him to be Devitt again. Damn it. I want the prince. I want that. I wanted that. I wanted him to be word 2. I said it years ago. I wanted him to be King of the Ring when Xavier won. Nah, Xavier got to get the crown. And then Roman put the crown on, and he really looked like damn Aquaman. And then they stomped on it, and then somebody take Finn Balor's pants. Those are my closing words.
Yeah, pretty. But
God damn it, Roman! Like Roman. Oh man! But before we sign off, since we talk some wrestling, just want to say 2 things. One, this man was right.
What? What?
Magneto was right the entire time.
What the? This ain't even.
And
rest. Let him have it. Let him have it. Let him have it. Let him have it. All right.
That's all I gotta say about that.
All right. Is it?
What the hell?
You sacrificed the whole graphic for it. I'm sure that there's more. I'm sure that there's a little more.
See, 1000% right. Because Charles was being a little bitch the entire time.
I mean, listen, all right. No, shout out to Rogue, man. Shout out to Rogue.
Nah, she let Gambit die. Goddamn it.
Shout out to Soul.
Nah, Jay. No, that's not your rogue. That's not your rouge. Hashtag not your rouge. I know which one's your rouge.
Nah, fair enough.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I didn't even know they had bats in Cuba.
Hey, man. I think.
I mean, literal bats. Oh my god, yo, what is with you, man?
Hey,
No.
put it back down. Put it back down.
I'm about to say, this man want me on a billboard or something? You want me on the back of a milk carton? What you trying to do, man? We family. What's this?
Sam, what's wrong?
I ain't supposed to go out like this. We supposed to use comprehension and context. What is this?
No, but yeah. So yeah, fair enough.
Sometimes you say phrasing.
I mean, listen, Magneto, yes, he was, but Jesus Christ, that didn't have to go down that route. But you said it stuck to the comments. I stuck to the comments. It was that last 20 seconds was ridiculous, that episode. So that's all I'm gonna say on that. Is there anything else you got before you sign off? I'm pretty sure. I mean, I know we pop culturing right now. This is the pop culture segment. Right? Is that it? Hour. Is that? Or are you good? You're calm. You're kosher.
I'm kosher.
All right. So take it away, man. Take us.
So thank you guys for tuning in to this week's BrawlCast as we are live here on the Sports HitList. We thank to the 56 people that are tuning in today, this Saturday afternoon. And as always, before we hold on, got one more comment. Quick question. All right, Ivan, shoot your question before we clock out.
No, we
I gotta eat.
It's just you, Oos.
It's just you, Oos.
But yeah, I mean, listen. There you go.
It's a good question.
Shout out to an AEW question. All right. You wanna tackle this first? I mean, I could.
First of all, I am happy the fact that Christian's getting a title match against him. I don't know. It's weird.
I mean, he referenced something that you had as a banner.
No, that's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
He referenced Drake Kendrick. That's what he did.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's early because obviously he just won it. At the last pay-per-view. I don't know. It's like with AEW and their champions since MJF, it's kind of been kind of wonky.
You mind if I tackle this? Yeah. Swerve has had the unenviable position of being champion in a time where the backstage stuff isn't interacted with a lot of the stuff that is on camera right now. I forget I was having a conversation with a friend at work because he was trying to get a sense of what was going on with AEW off of the CM Punk thing, off the heels of that. And essentially, I was trying to find the right about way of talking about it. To put it in perspective, I think he's an 89, 90 baby, right? And I was just like, dude, just think WCW 2000, Swerve is Booker T. And it's not, I mean, we could say, yeah, there's some differences here and there's some similarities here, but there's a guy, the scope is there where it's a guy who is the first of his kind and his style to achieve the feats that he's achieved on that brand. It's a great accomplishment. Jeff Jarrett is his Hangman, right? And then you got your elites as the NW.
I'm shocked they didn't go back to that because I know because the thing about it is I know they're looking to book him against Ospreay in London.
Yeah,
I just wish hopefully at some point you get a little bit of Hangman in the middle because.
But they're building it. But the thing is that a lot of the stuff is they're still washing away the stench of a lot of the stuff that's going on. I mean, even just you thinking about AEW right now, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Right now,
if it's not Swerve, then that is the issue.
I mean, right now, it isn't Swerve.
So that's essentially what they're trying to casually build it back up towards. I would say it's a good thing, not to cut you off, Ty. I would say it's a good thing because while it is an unenviable position, I feel like they have built it gradually to the point of which, similar to how what they did with Tony Storm, they're allowing her. They are allowing him to establish his own lane as a championship using his character arc, similar to how they allowed Tony Storm with a very ailing women's division to discover her character and find her niche. This is just an early point of it. Let's see how it develops. To your point, it's still early. So I would say it's one of those things where it's undefined. But as a character, Swerve's doing an excellent job.
Yeah,
Ty, what you thinking?
He's the first fresh champion since MJF, because even with all the stuff that's been happening backstage, a lot of the champions have kind of been mapped out, whether it had been Kenny, whether it had been Hangman, whether it had been Jericho, right? This is the first fresh champion. Actually, I'd say argue the first fresh champion in the history of the title, because even MJF, after a certain point, they were like, well, we gotta. You know, this was more out of nowhere than MJF. So he already is going to start off with having to make up for a lot of predictable choices for champion, right? Because it wasn't a guarantee with Swerve. Two, as wrestling fans, we have done this dance so many times we're dizzy. It's not the same as when we were younger or when we had more investment, in the sense of like, we believe certain challenges can beat this person for the title, which would keep you on the edge of your seat during a title reign. It's a little bit harder to get that now. You can do it. I think AEW's failed to do it in the sense that, like, they haven't built up enough credible names in the background to directly pointing in the direction of Swerve to where you're like, oh, Swerve's cooked or Swerve's fucked. Like, I don't know how he's going to get through this one. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of excellent or exciting shit is happening surrounding Swerve, but they're not gunning for Swerve, it feels like. So you don't have that immediate sense of danger that make you go, oh, Swerve might have to hold that championship to his chest like Ciampa, because you don't really have it from a you've grown and you know how this story goes standpoint, but also them even trying to suspend your belief, they're not keeping you on your toes the same way that we were on our toes when, you know, I hate to do WWE, AEW, but like when Roman actually could have lost to Drew, or when Roman actually could, you get what I'm saying? So it's their job to be on their P's and Q's on that and keep that upkeep so that you can fear for this reign. So that as the reign continues, you go, oh, this has been kind of nice. You know, this has been nice. You know, he's actually held it for 3 months. I like that. And then bam, you take it away from him because, you know, you got to swerve. You got to swerve the swerve, you know, and at that point, you know, you'll feel like your time's been earned. Your time has been honored more so. Right. So I think that plays into it as well. Yes, they're building for the match at All In 2. No, I guess All In 3, if you count the original. Yeah, All In 3. So we know that a lot of the stuff in between is going to be filler. So that also is going to play into your excitement for the reign on that front. Because if that's what we strongly believe, unless they strongly change it, you're going to be sitting here and going, these matches are strong, but they're not strong enough to pull me, you know? So outside of Ospreay, you're not really thinking about anybody else, which is why when Christian showed up, you know, our father showed up, you were like, huh? And now you're like, yeah, you know what, Swerve, I kind of want you to, hey, man, now step this way. So Christian can kind of, you know, get that gold real quick. That's what some people are feeling because it just came out of nowhere. You didn't see that one coming. But yeah, that's all I got to add to that.
All right, final comment from Ivan. As we've been discussing on Circle about Swerve on Circle of Debate, they need to add him down the line to the Elite versus AEW storyline, being all part of the story since he's your champion to rep Team AEW.
You could, but you don't have to.
You don't have to.
You could, but you don't have to.
I kind of want to see what he does on his own, separate from the Elite. You know, like if it warrants a story, sure. But if it doesn't, like I kind of want to see him on his own. He should
be
the break glass.
Yes, I was actually just gonna say he should be the endpoint. He should be the what. He should be built to a point where not on the level, but where you got Rock popping up out of nowhere in the Cody Rhodes Roman Reigns storyline. He should be that, where it's like, yo, I didn't know this would happen, but hell, man, I'm with it. That's what feeling you need with for him to be a part of this. For him to be a part of it along the journey, no, but he should be basically the either an endpoint or one of those like stopgaps to the endpoint, like one of those like where
He's an amplifier of the
exactly.
existing story.
I don't think that I think for him to be a part of it again, you run the risk of doing the WCW thing. Like
you're gonna exhaust your options too early.
You do, man. Like you genuinely do, and you don't want to be in a position to where fans get the impression that you're only interesting. You're only going to be as interesting as the interesting people are around you. Like as long as you're around the Young Bucks and Omega and God knows who else is a part of that, right? Like you're not gonna be relevant to me. You don't want that feeling. So again, establish that space and like ease on in and have him wrestle the underutilized talents of the world and build them up, for Christ's sakes. There's so many different people on that brand still who can be valuable contenders. So that's what's gonna be it.
I offer you this. If you wanted to integrate Swerve into this storyline early, have it be a scenario where Swerve wants to, actually of his own volition, wants to help because he sees the writing on the wall. Because we're all wrestling fans. Most of the wrestlers who are in there are wrestling fans. They've seen enough Invasion storylines to know how this goes, right?
Yeah.
You could have a scenario where Swerve goes, I want to step in because I know how this ends. And a returning Tony would be telling him, no, I got this. You know, we can't afford to lose you because you are our champion. You are our biggest. You are literally the cornerstone of the company. We can't afford to lose you. And it's just constantly denying Swerve entry into the storyline, literally, until you break glass. It's the breaking point. We have no choice. We need you, which would put Swerve in that echelon with them. You're already telling the audience he's too important. So that when he does enter, it's like, oh, shit's about to go down. You know what I mean? If you wanted to tease it early before it actually happens, that's what I'd offer.
I know he had the segment where he was just like, it's a bitch made move. I hope it's kind of the opposite, where they ask him and he's just like, nah, like that's not even like he pulls a black guy, like he pulls like a ain't my business. It ain't my business, but it's a bitch made move. Like I'm not gonna get into it because I'm gonna just do me. But good for you, because again, you also want to play off a thing of like I'm too, because his character is. I'm all for character. I'm all for like motive, right? Swerve screams to me as a character of like I'm too cool for school. So if there's any sense of him to add that, you do it. Like if I'm The Rock and Vince McMahon is coming to ask me for help for the Alliance, I'm doing the whole thing the whole coming out. Grandson, when he started with the black vest, came out and all that stuff and rock bottom to both of them. That's what I'm gonna do. Like I'm gonna beat to my own drum. I think that Swerve should do the same. I think that that's a thing where you can offer a certain thing to where you can individualize a person's character so that when they do come and help, they're just like, you only get one and dip out. So that's what I see with it. Let's see.
We'll see, Ivan. And Ivan, we'll talk in terms of collaboration.
Oh yeah, no, most definitely.
Future.
But with that said, this has been a good episode, man, in terms of dialogue and especially with the AEW talk. So thanks to Ivan to pointing that out. As well, because hopefully we see them kind of get it together as in terms of where they want to go as we approach All In, especially Wembley, because that's one of their biggest shows, and Forbidden Door is next month, so they have to also build to that, and that hasn't been built up in a way where it's like, okay, oh my god, like it's next month, so it's like,
how we feeling about that? We doing that?
Forbidden Door?
Yeah, because that's in New York.
It depends on when is it, because I might be in Mexico for my boy's wedding.
Oops.
Why are you in every Latin American country that exists? What is happening?
I mean, let's just say it's been a good second half of the year for me. So,
Oh my God.
yeah. I mean, going to
You need to learn.
Cabo.
No.
Best
You
friend
need to
getting
learn
married.
5 Spanish words, bro. You need to learn 5 new Spanish words, not that stuff from middle school, like some different Spanish words and their conjugations. Tired
and the
of it, man.
conjugations.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
don't know about all that.
boy.
I'm there so I won't get fined. All right, take us out, man.
Anyway, man, this has been the BrawlCast here on the Sports Hit List. We're also live on YouTube and, of course, Twitter. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel at The Backstage Brawl. Please follow us on The Backstage Brawl on Instagram, Backstage_Brawl on Twitter, The Backstage Brawl on Facebook, where we're 182,000 strong. Where else? You also follow the Sports Hit List, follow the parent company. Shout out to Carl Coulage and the team as they continue to cover the NBA and the NHL playoffs as well throughout this week. So please check out any of their takes going into the week. So, but with that said, I see that. Deuces.
Hey, Monster on the beat.
We gon' get copyright.
Nigga,
No.
We gon' get
No. You got your fingers like it.
Oh my
nigga to the cross, he walk around like Tito. What's up with these jabroni ass niggas trying to see Compton?
That's the best part about it.
Fuck them all and they mama. How many options you really got? I mean, it's too many options.
Oh man, but seriously, man. See you guys next week. We'll be back for some more fantasy booking and some more shenanigans here on the Sports Hit List. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.
Roscoe Grits.